So boys and girls, today in this class, you're going to be going to the tide pools. What they are is along the edge of the ocean when the water comes in and out and in and out. There are shallow areas along the edge that fill up and then they drain and then they fill up and then they drain all day long, morning, noon, and night. And there are creatures that just love to live in that water that's very shallow, that where they're covered up, maybe for a couple hours, and then the water goes away for a couple hours. This is a sea anemone. It's kind of fun. It's mean. You really shouldn't do this, but you can put your finger into the middle of a sea anemone, and it will close up around your finger, and it actually feels almost like it's stuck to you. You have to kind of pull off. Look how perfectly camouflaged it is when it pulls in to protect itself. It's also the way that it captures food. So this is something I grew up in California doing a lot, where I would go around and investigate tide pools. So today you're going to make a pendant out of clay. You're going to start with a ball of clay that you're going to roll out kind of into something that you're trying to get it to be as long as that rectangle. You're going to use either a needle tool or one of your teachers will help you to try and get your clay to be the size of that little piece of paper. You may have to piece it together a couple times, and you'll notice that I'm using the rolling pin on top of those yardsticks so that it will be, I won't like push it down too far. I don't want it to be super thin. So now what I'm doing is trimming my edges along there, and like I said, it could be that your helper at your table will have already gotten this ready for you, but it's kind of fun to do on your own too. Now that I have my rectangle, I'm going to start to add texture. I'm going to take one of those sea urchins and just lightly press it. Now you already know, why would I not take the shell or the sea urchin and push as hard as I possibly can? Don't do that, because you know you're just going to smash your clay. You just want to push it in hard enough so that it leaves a little bit of an impression. Now I'm kind of thinking about adding some seaweed. That's super common in a tide pool where the water's coming in and out, that it will bring seaweed. I'm just taking a little extra clay and rolling it out into a long skinny snake. And I'm just going to wind it onto my pendant here. A lot of you know that we do scratch attach. And we spend a lot of time making sure things are not going to fall off. But I am going to make sure that none of your stuff falls off. You do not need to worry about scratch attach today. If you just set it on top and just kind of push down just a little bit, it'll be fine. Here I'm taking a little ball of clay and I'm cutting 5, count it, 5 little cuts into the clay. And now with my big fingers, with your little fingers, it'll work much better. I'm making a little tiny sea star. How cute. Is it orange? Is it purple? Who knows? But you are going to be making that, and you can just set it wherever you want. So what I like is that I'm kind of putting my things that I'm adding along the edges, because I'm actually going to be putting in some little blue marbles in there that are going to melt in the kiln, and they're going to look like little droplets of water in your tide pool. Now I'm sure you're loving what you're seeing here. This is a mold that if you press clay into it, lo and behold, it will just pop right out, the perfect impression of something from a tide pool. I really am going to say, I'm going to be super mean, you may only have one thing from the silicone mold. Only one! Because I believe that you could probably form stuff that's just as cool, if not cooler, and I don't want all of yours to look like you just bought it from Michael's. So your helper will help you with that as well. Here I'm making a few barnacles. I'm actually using the tip of a Phillips screwdriver there to make a little crisscross in there, and to imagine the barnacle coming out in the water and trying to feed on tiny little plankton that are, or phytoplankton that are in the waters. So I'm just adding more and more barnacles along the edge. Notice that it's kind of along the edge that I'm spending most of my time. Now you'll notice that I have stuff that's hanging off the edge of that rectangle at this point. And some of you who like to be kind of neat and tidy might say, oh man, my thing isn't a perfect rectangle anymore. That's not going to look nice, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? The helper at your table is going to take good care of you, and they are going to clean those edges up. But first you need to put on your final touches. Here I'm lightly using a back of a bamboo skewer to just put a little bit more in there. I didn't even make any sea anemones. You could probably figure out how to do that, or to make some more seaweed or any other creatures that you have as examples on your table. But now that I have that done, I'm going to add just a little bit more texture, and then when I'm finished, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to tell the helper at my table, this is mine, I'm finished. They're going to make sure that your label's on it. And then what they're going to do is clean up your edges. They're just going to make a little cut along each side and make it all perfect and beautiful. And then what I'm going to do is come later tonight and put it aside, let it dry for a day, and then I'll put it into the kiln. And like I said, I'm going to put these little glass blue marbles on there. Those marbles are going to melt, and it's just going to look like little beautiful beads of water coming through your tide pool. The very last thing they'll do is take a straw to cut a hole. You can eventually wear this as a necklace or as a keychain or something, and it'll be a beautiful remembrance of learning about tide pools. Have fun.